It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report.
Hey, either I'm the craziest fool fisherman that's ever been born, or I know something. What would make a man wait until 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a 100-degree plus day to launch his boat in the lake and begin a fishing trip? Unless he knows something. Hi everybody, welcome to the show, and I think I do know something because it is just after 2 o'clock, the temperature is well over 100 degrees, and I'm about to launch my Nitro Z8 bass boat into Lake Bridgeport to try to demonstrate a point. The point just may help you catch a lot of crappie right through the hottest summertime months on your favorite lake. The only qualification is that that lake has to have one central characteristic, and I'll share that with you in the next half hour. And while I'm out doing that, we're taking you around the region for your very latest fishing reports from Texas freshwater and saltwater, Louisiana fresh and saltwater, the entire state of Oklahoma, and I'll have your Lawrence Hot Lake of the Week. We'll show you a power plant lake where you can catch largemouth bass right in the summertime months, and we'll show you a giant redfish on this week's Costa Catch of the Week. But first, we get you back to the FSN studios for all your statistics on the upcoming weekend fishing trip. Here's Julie with the Weekend Planner.
Let's take a look at the Salooner tables to help you land more fish this weekend. Expect fair conditions for game fish activity on Saturday and good conditions on Sunday. Peak times begin in the morning at 7:05 on Saturday and again at 8 a.m. on Sunday. Expect the sun to rise at 6:39 and set at 8:28. And we're approaching a full moon, so evenings will be fairly well lit with the moon 76% visible. Stay with us, we still have your freshwater and coastal fishing updates from all around the region. Plus, I'll be back a little bit later with Kevin Van Dam on the Waterburger Ask the Pro with some advice about fishing lines.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Mercury, the official outboard of the Southwest Outdoors Report for 10 years running. By Xide, start positive, stay positive. By Lose Reels and Rods, feel the difference. And by Onyx Personal Flotation Devices and Rainwear, keeping you safe on the water.
There's one. Ooh, that's a good pull. Lots of wind. And let's see what we got. Oh, good crappie. All right. Come in here, buddy. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Your Southwest Outdoors Report. Talking a little bridge fishing for crappie. And just so happened that the day I choose to do this, it's really windy. So I'm gonna have to hold the trolling motor here, but that's a good start anyway. You can see I pulled right up next to a big concrete bridge piling, and you really have to dissect these things because the crappie can be one of about 3 or 4 different places, and they can be at any depth. So I'll show you what a good summertime crappie looks like there, but he's going back. And I'm gonna show you typically what I do to identify the depth. Now I've got a big Wally Marshall Signature Series crappie rod here, and it's a 10-footer. So I don't have to get in so close to those bridge pilings. So what I do is I pull up to a pier first, one of the pilings, one of the columns, and I pull out some line and I hold it at the level of the water, and then I'll start doing pulls. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there's 7 pulls, which is how deep that fish was. I had pulled off 7 pulls. We're out here in about 33 feet of water right now, which that's gonna put me somewhere around halfway down. You wanna go right back to the same level that the fish were every single time once you identify that depth. Now they can be on 2 or 3 different places on the bridge, and I'll talk about that more in just a little bit. But right now, let's get you going on some fishing reports from around the region, and let's check in with Brian Hughes in the state of Texas.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Executive Outfitters. Providing all of your shells, all the food you can eat, and your drinks out in the field, Executive will treat you to the Texas dove hunt you've always wanted. Now, we're gonna go down to Richland Chambers, which is really an overlooked, underutilized lake in Texas, with fantastic populations of hybrids and sand bass, not to mention some great largemouth fishing. You would think there'd be more boat traffic on Richland Chambers, but there's not. You can have most of the lake to yourself. For the bass fishermen, take your Carolina rigs and your umbrella rigs to the main lake points and just stay above the thermocline fishing those baits. Your hybrid guys and your sandy guys, you'll want to watch for either bird action or surfacing schools, or find the bait fish on your electronics. Drop your slabs and spoons and you'll hook up with the hybrids and the sandies on Richland Chambers. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Executive Outfitters. Click on my picture on the website for more information on Texas lakes. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, Texas Outdoors Journal brings you this week's report for the very best monthly coastal and inland fishing information, plus year-round hunting tips. Check out Texas' most comprehensive outdoor publication. Pick up a copy of Texas Outdoors Journal on newsstands or subscribe securely at the website on the screen. Well, summer patterns are firmly entrenched along the Texas coast. Anglers wade fishing Galveston, Matagorda, San Antonio, and Aransas Bays, plus the upper Laguna Madre, should start the day in thigh-deep water and cast toward shorelines or spoil islands. As the sun rises, fish toward the deeper edges of grass beds, guts, reefs, and other structured areas. Topwater lures early and soft plastics or live piggy perch late will provide the best results. Deep shell reefs along the Houston Ship Channel, the south end of Sabine, shorelines of the Corpus Christi Ship Channel, and around the causeways of the lower Laguna Madre have given up good trout on live bait in water 4 to 5 feet deep. Rig the bait Carolina style or fish them under a popping cork. The surf remains a good option on light wind days with a similar shallow to deep pattern. Start the morning in the first gut and eventually work out to the second or third bar and cast to even deeper guts. As July gives way to August, look for redfish to start to school in the bays. Good options will be Estes Flats along the King Ranch shoreline, as well as around 3 islands on the lower coast. Gold spoons or paddle tail soft plastics work well, while black spoons will catch finicky fish on the move. This weekend, Saturday has a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides. This Sunday has a single tide schedule of 1 high and 1 low. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Bite, 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 bite. Got him. That's a decent crappie. All right. Well, they're biting out here pretty good right in between these bridge pilings. That one's out in open water, and I got my rod holders out, and I'll explain those to you and talk to you about another place that you can catch these crappie out off these bridges. We'll be back for more bridge crappie fishing in the wind right after this. Got him. Oh, there's a good pull. Oh, there's another good crappie right there. All right. Well, we are out here blowing in the wind. Welcome back, everybody. Your Southwest Outdoors report. Doing a little bridge fishing today. Wow. And let me tell you, once you figure out what depth the fish are at, what you want to do is try to figure out what part of the bridge the fish is on. Now, first fish I caught was off of a bridge pier or piling like the one you see right here. However, usually on most bridges, in between these 2 piers, there will be a cross beam, a cross member of some kind, and it'll vary at what level it's at. Sometimes there are 2 of them. A lot of times there are more crappie hanging on that cross member than there are on the pier itself. So if you can figure out, you can use your structure scan if you've got a Lowrance HDS system like mine, and you can actually see down there and see what depth it's at, or you can just experiment around with your rod and your crappie jig, and if you can find where that cross member is, a lot of times there are a ton of crappie sitting right on that, and you can catch a bunch of them. Not keeping them today, so back he goes. Let's check in right now with Gary Dollahan in Oklahoma.
Lake Keystone may not have the fishing reputation that some of our other lakes here in northeastern Oklahoma have, and man, it's a great fishery. It's only about 20 minutes west of downtown Tulsa, and it's a phenomenal fishery with lots of different things to do. You can see this big sandy shoreline behind me, lots of that on this lake. Makes a great place to get in shallow during the hot part of the day, play in the water and cool off a little bit. Also has lots of rocky shorelines, big rocks, big boulders in the water, offers phenomenal fishing. It's got a great shad population, that's why the game fishing is so good in this lake. It was once best known for its striper fishing, but now it's probably as well known for that as it is its largemouth, wide bass, crappie, and catfish. It's a great fishing lake. I had a good day today. I caught a good number of crappie and wide bass and some really big wide bass. I'm talking 2.5+ pounds. Had my best luck on a 3-inch Bobby Garland slab slayer in 2 or 3 different colors, also a baby shad in pearl color. Now along those big rocky shorelines, I ran into Paul Biggs, a local videographer who was getting some video for the TV show The Hitmen that he's one of the producers for, and he had a really cool crew with him. I had a fun time following them along, trying to see them noodle a catfish for me. They had 3 of them cornered while I was watching them, didn't get any of them in. They said it's not as easy as it looks on TV. Had a great time. They said the noodling's been really good during the spawn. On the tail end of the spawn now, much more difficult. Looked like a lot of fun, but I did not get in the water to try it. One thing about fishing on Keystone Lake, you can't catch them if you don't go.
Time right now for the Lowrance Hot Lake of the Week, and the hot summertime always reminds me of one of the strangest days I ever spent bass fishing in Texas. It was well over 100 degrees, the middle of the summer, and for some reason I chose to go to a power plant lake. I chose Lake Monticello in East Texas. I fished from daylight until 6:30 p.m. and never got one strike. And then I decided to try a topwater bait over deep water, and for the next 30 minutes I caught bass from 4 to 7 pounds on almost every cast. So the point, don't overlook power plant lakes even in the hot summertime months. So let's show you Lake Monticello on the Lowrance HDS-10. It's located just southwest of Mount Pleasant, Texas, connected by dams to Cypress Springs and Bob Sandlin. The dam is on the south end. The power plant is located on the east side lower lake here. The intake is here. The outlet is here on the north end. I would stay away from the hottest end of the lake north of the bridge. The south end has several gradually sloping points that fall off into deep water. Fish a top water early and late and soft plastic baits during the midday hours. That's this week's Lowrance Hot Lake of the Week. Stay with us. When we come back, Cajun Phil and Kevin are ready for this week's fishing reports from Louisiana.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Nitro Performance Bass Boats. Fish your best in a Nitro. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. Quality soft plastic baits made in Oklahoma with American pride. By Whataburger. Proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. By Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. And by Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Engineering for angling.
Eat it. Got him. All right. Hey, we did something a little different out here. Up here. Oh, good crappie right there. Don't you jump off. All right, well, your Southwest Outdoors Report doing some bridge fishing today. And that brings us to the next way that you can catch these crappie. Now, that's just another good solid keeper crappie right there. They've all been about the same size, really. Good solid pan frying fish. Back he goes. We showed you how to catch these fish up against the piers, pilings, columns, vertically. We showed you how to catch them horizontally across the cross members, the cross beams. And then next, I saw a bunch of these crappie and some bait out here suspended between the bridge sections. So you can see here, I'm just right out in the open water in between the piers. And these crappie will use the shade for protection, and they'll just roam back and forth under here and feed on these little minnows, little bitty shad. So what you do is pull out a couple of rod holders. These are my Atwood Pro Series rod holders, and I've got my Signature Series Wally Marshall rod, and now I've pulled out my Mr. Crappie slab shaker rod. They're both 10-foot rods, and as you can see right here, You can make yourself a nice little spread. You can put 4 or 6 rods out and just drift around under the bridge, and you can get bit and catch a lot of fish that way as well. All right, let's move along and check in with Cajun Phil and Kevin in Louisiana.
Hello, friends. This is old Cajun Phil here with your Fox Louisiana Fishing Report. Well, I tell you what, I've been down in the neck of the woods from Texas all the way to Mexico. We've been fishing a tournament down there, and we come out 4th in the HT tournament. So that's what's been happening to me the last week, and also Captain Kevin. But we placed a phone call to find out what's going on our neck of the woods, and I tell you what, Calcasieu Lake has been very bad. But again, keep in mind, Captain Kevin hadn't been here fishing. He's been over there in Texas. But we talked to a lot of the guys that said they've been getting a lot of rain, they've been getting a lot of wind. The water's a little off color. They're picking up 10, 15, 20 trout a day, but that's about it. So Captain Kevin's back on the water today as you and I are speaking right now. And he's giving it a try, and I'll give you an up-to-date report on what's going on at Calcasieu Lake next week. I called Delacroix and talked to Captain Jack. He said over there they're catching lots of speckled trout and redfish. The speckled trout are coming on grubs under a poppet cork, about 18 inches. Most of the redfish to grass. The vegetation is getting pretty thick down there right now, so he said a spoon's working better than anything else. He said if you do get where there's water with not a lot of grass, throw the spinnerbait. Over at Pontchartrain Lake, Captain John Ballum is catching lots of drum, redfish, and speckled trout under the causeway. And as far as down in Venice, Louisiana, they're catching lots of offshore fish. They're catching everything from amberjack to mai-mai, and they're catching still some big yellowfin tuna. So right now, the eastern part of Louisiana is on fire. We'll bring you up to date on the western part next week. Till then, this is old Cajun Phil for Captain Kevin. Then happy fishing, and may God bless, and we're going to see you folks next week. Bye-bye.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Tracker Boats, Fish the Finest, by Lowrance, and the all-new HDS Gen 2 with Structure Map Overview, by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability, by Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there, and by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price, every day.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time now for our Whataburger Ask the Pro. Our question this week comes to us from Brian in Waco, Texas, who writes, with all the new types of line out there, I find it overwhelming to figure out which type to use and when. How do you know when to use monofilament, fluorocarbon, or braided? For the answer, we checked with 7-time Angler of the Year, Kevin Van Dam.
Fishing lines have gotten really specialized, but I can tell you that fluorocarbon has become the dominant line on my rod and reels. And the reason is it's real low in stretch, it's sensitive, and the fish just can't see it in clear water. So anything that I'm fishing down on the bottom that I need good sensitivity with, you know, crankbaits, your drop shots, worms, Carolina rigs, jigs, things like that, it's hard to beat fluorocarbon. Super heavy cover, deep water, thick grass, boy, that no stretch in that braid is hard to beat. You know, you don't have to worry about the invisibility. And if you're throwing top water, you gotta have monofilament. You need the buoyancy of that line. That fluorocarbon sinks, it pulls your bait down, you lose the action. You gotta have mono for your top waters.
Thank you, Kevin. If you have a question, go to our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com, follow the Ask the Pro link, and let us know what you'd like to ask one of our pros. Now here's Barry with the Costa Catch of the Week.
Here's one. There we go. All right. This feels like a really good pull. Oh, that's one of the biggest ones yet. All right, hey. All right, we're still out here and we're ready to wrap things up for you right now. We've had a good day catching them off the bridges, and this will work at lakes all around our region. And let me, as I'm holding the trolling motor here to keep us from drifting out of here, let me show you several lakes on a list where you can do this. These are all lakes that I have personally caught lots of crappie out from under bridges all around our region. All you've got to do is go to your Lowrance GPS system and look at where a bridge crosses any of these lakes, and you're gonna have a chance to catch crappie out from under all of those. All right, we're gonna let this crappie go back. That's just another good one. We would have a good live well full if we were keeping them today. Time right now for the Costa Catch of the Week. Your big fish photos, a chance to be seen on television and win free Costa sunglasses. Congratulations this week to Michael Crawford of Willis, Texas, shown here with a 32-inch redfish he caught out of Galveston Bay down on the Texas Gulf Coast. If you would like to enter our contest, go to our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. On the right-hand side of the front page is the area to click. You'll need to become a member of our fan club. It's free. Then you fill out the form, attach your JPEG, and if we use yours on the show and on our website, you'll win free sunglasses like Michael does on this week's show. And if you'd like to see all of the Costa frame styles and lenses, all you have to do is go to their website at costadelmar.com. You can see everything there, including the frame style of the month this month, Harpoon, the same ones I'm wearing on today's show. Next up on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, I want to mention my all-time favorite personal flotation device. This is the Onyx Auto Inflate or Manual PFD. It's very easy to get into, very easy to operate. Once it contacts water, boy, if I can just keep my hat on. Once it contacts water, it automatically inflates, and you can also pull this red cord right here. That will inflate it as well. But it's lightweight. You hardly know it's there. You can fish in it all day long. It's not hot. It's everything you would possibly want in an auto inflate or manual personal flotation device. It's the Onyx Outdoors Auto Inflate PFD, and you can see it at all the Academy Sports and Outdoors stores. Hey, want to mention that our show next week will be on at 10:45 p.m. after the Dallas Cowboys training camp report, and if the baseball game runs long, we'll still be on right after the Cowboys report, so be sure and join us then. Hey, go out, fish some bridges, have a great time catching those crappie for the entire rest of the summer and right into the fall. Until next week, I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.